Three, two, one. Here we go. Well, hello there. We're back. RSG coming at you. We are talking spoils, The Last Jedi, and we are going to be spoiling the shit out of this. So we're going to have the discussion going on right now. Let me pull up the chat so I can make sure. This is requested by the fans. Let me make sure I can't hear myself in the damn chat. That would be bad. So if you're here, we're here to discuss it. Now, I did this the other day in our Discord, but I think everybody wants me to do a live stream in our reaction to The Last Jedi. So we're going to get into it a little bit. It's me and Tits right now. Finn may join us. Sir Loki's eating something right now because we just did a 3-hour stream, and I just ate literally 2 slices of pizza with all the veggies on it because I needed some protein because I was just hurt. I was sitting here ugh. I just drank all this all this shit and I haven't eaten. I'm retarded. But we are going to be talking about, if you have not seen the movie, be warned. We're going to get into spoilers. We're going to break down everything. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to talk about a couple things before we get into the movie. The big thing is some things I've noticed online and stuff, because I follow a lot of stuff online about this movie. And kind of react to that, and then we'll get into the movie. We're going to break the movie down from start to finish and kind of give our thoughts about the different plots, the different storylines, things. And it's good that we got Tits here because I love having a female's perspective on the movie. I don't think that's shown enough. I'm serious, because men see a movie a certain way. Women because men react with feeling and a lot of things and what they buy and stuff. I mean, this is just psychology, and women have a more sensical approach to things, like a car. Men buy cars because of how it makes it feel. Oh, it's cool, I want to buy that car. Women are like, okay, what's the gas mileage, what's the interest rates, that's the kind of thing. So it's really what I like having Tits, and I just like having a woman's perspective on everything because it enhances everything, so that being
Eden's in there saying she hasn't seen it yet, but she wants to know what happens.
Well,
Guys, don't spoil it for yourself.
Well,
Watch the movie.
I will push back a little bit on that. I knew what was going to happen before the movie came out, Tits, and I like knowing things so I can assess it as I watch it and to see how the execution is. People think a little bit differently sometimes, so that's on them. They're adults. They're wearing the big boy pants.
Yeah.
I've seen it twice, Ravi.
I've seen it twice.
Yeah, and I thought it was better the second time. What did you think, Tits?
I liked it the second time. I didn't think I was going to like it. Did you pick up on
things a little bit more the second time?
Yeah, there was a couple things that just that I was a little bit more. I was prepared for it, so I could look around a little bit more. If that makes sense. So I wasn't staring just at a reaction. I could kind of look around a bit. So I liked it the second time even better than the first.
Yeah.
I mean, my emotional reaction was better the first time, but my enjoyment was better the second time, if that makes sense.
So one issue I want to bring up before we get into the movie itself is, so there was this big thing about Rotten Tomatoes, and if you've not seen John Campea, he's a guy I follow. He does a lot of movie reviews, and he's from AMC and Collider Videos. I trust the guys at Schmoes, Collider, stuff like that when I watch their review of a movie because that's what they do for a living. And they're pretty honest about their opinion about the movie. And I like their reaction. But there's been this huge debate with Rotten Tomato score being 56 and then the critic score being 93. If you look at some of the other critic scores, they're really high. The problem with, and I agree with what Campea and some of these other people said, the first thing you should know about a movie is just watch it yourself, and if you like it, you like it. But there's been a lot of people out there that have not liked it, have not seen it yet, and that drives me absolutely through the wall. Yeah. How can you hate something if you've not seen it? That's like saying, I don't like steak. Well, if you tried steak before, no. Well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? The audience score because there's 2 scores on Rotten Tomatoes and other sites. There's the critic score and the audience score. The problem with the audience score is that it's not vetted, so people can vote multiple times. Or, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on with that. I don't count that as much as a critic score. Now, the critic score I may disagree with because sometimes I've watched a movie that I disagree with them on, but that's okay. Film is subjective. If you didn't like the movie, that's okay, but you need to have seen it. But be reasonable in your assessment of the movie, right? Because the other thing I've been hearing is it was so different from all the other Star Wars. Well, the complaint everybody had about Force Awakens that it was too much like Episode 4. And then Ryan Johnson, who's a phenomenal director, directed this movie, and I loved a ton of stuff that he did in this movie. I mean, I mean, he threw loops and curveballs in there everywhere, and I absolutely loved it. But the thing that I always look at for audience scores is Cinema Score. Cinema Score gave this an A. And that's all I need to know, because that is them literally, people, as they come out of the movie theater, they are asked questions, do they like it, and blah, 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 and then they score it based off that. That is a legitimate score. So, and then I've been seeing people on YouTube saying how this is like these movies are worse than Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Anybody that says that, you are on freaking crack. The thing about the prequels, and there's some people that love the prequels, and that's fine. There are things about the prequels that I do like. However, the movies themselves are awful. Let's just be awful. Let's just be reasonable. And then when I say that, Episode 1 and 2, Episode 3 I liked a lot, and I thought the acting was better than that. But Episode 1 and 2, other than certain scenes in those movies and then some of the story arcs are good, but the acting itself is so horrendous.
I agree. I feel like the acting kind of blew it for those. I enjoyed them. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed them, but they were the worst for me. I mean, like the acting was just awful.
Yeah.
Like,
so comparing
I
can tell you my rating for Star Wars movies, because there's 10 movies out now. If you include the Clone War movie, the animated one that came out, there's 10. I put The Last Jedi as number 3. Empire's number 2 for me, and then Rogue One is still my favorite movie. If you had to list your top 3, what would you?
Rogue One. Is definitely one of my top 3. The Last Jedi is it's kind of
if it's outside, if it's 4 or 5, that's fine too.
I mean, actually, I'm probably everybody's gonna be like, what? It's kind of close to 1 or I'm kind of 1 or 2. Rogue One being 3, maybe. I just love The Last Jedi, and I know I get so much shit for it in my tribe stuff, but I think it was a fantastic movie. We can go more into it later, but. Yeah, I enjoyed it so much.
But the thing is, make your own, and film is subjective. If you didn't like the movie, that's okay. There's nothing wrong. Well, hello there. That must be Sir Loki. Is that Sir Loki, or is somebody just messing around with me with their lightsaber?
No, it's me, man. Come on. Okay.
I mean, have you been listening to what we've been saying, Loki?
Yeah, I've been eating barbecue spare ribs, man.
Oh, not barbecue spare ribs. Oh,
you
my God.
You didn't see my bones? I put it in the Skype chat.
Are you drinking ice cold Budweiser while you have those delicious spare ribs?
No, I'm not. I'm drinking a San Pellegrino, pomegranate, and orange. It's pretty good.
So,
what is your ranking from 1 to 3? What's your top 3?
Star Wars. Where would you?
What's my top 3 right now?
Yeah.
So I'm still gonna say it's Empire.
Yeah.
And then. So I've seen the movie several times already. I've actually seen Last Jedi more than Rogue One, put it that way. So now it's currently Empire's my favorite, then Last Jedi, then Rogue One.
Yeah.
It used to be Rogue One.
That's where I'm at. That's exactly where I'm at. I'm kind of fluctuating between Rogue One and Last Jedi, between 2 and 3.
Yeah. So, but no movie's perfect, and we're going to get into the plot of it. So let's get into the storyline. We'll talk about the beats. We'll get into characters and stuff like that. If you guys,
can we bring Shay in on here?
Is he sober?
It don't matter.
It does for this. I kind of want to be a little bit sober for this. I don't want a T-Money situation where I'm calling mother effer every 2 words.
He won't do that.
I'm just giving him a hard time. Yeah, we invite Shay. Get him in here. I love to have his opinion.
Is that Shay Locomotive or Shay Drunkomotive? Who is
Shay Loca? He's good. He's gonna be great.
I love him, man.
I love Shay.
So what are we gonna start with?
Well, let's start from the beginning of the movie. Okay. So the movie opens with the Resistance trying to get away from the First Order. So I thought the opening was fantastic.
Great scene. Great fighting, great space fighting scene. I loved it. Do that.
Yeah, for me, the interaction and the drama of the
is that Shay Locomotive or Shay Drunkomotive?
Somebody's got their
who's playing the stream in the background?
Who's echoing it? I love it.
So, Shay.
I think it's Drunkomotives on this.
Shay, are you there?
Hey, what's up, guys? No, I'm good. I was just listening, and then y'all called me. I answered, and The stream was on in the background. I'm sorry.
Okay. So before we get into the movie again, then Shay, what's your top 3 Star Wars movies after you've seen The Last Jedi? Even if The Last Jedi is not in your top 3, but what are your top 3 Star Wars movies?
Empire Strikes Back, Rogue One, and New Hope.
Okay, where would you rate out of top 10? Where would you put The Last Jedi?
That's hard. The more I watch it, at first I was way low, but the more I watch it, I'm like, it's creeping up a little bit. I mean, maybe 6, I guess.
So you've got Return of the Jedi, New Hope ahead of it still?
Why did he put Ewok Adventure as his top?
Fan, you piece of crap.
I love him.
No, why? He's a dirty bastard. I mean,
just come on.
He's funny. Trolling, man. Ewok Adventure. Why don't you put the Christmas special in there, Finn? Douche.
Oh yeah, that's the best Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
the Christmas
special.
It's
great.
Yeah.
So, what do we think about the opening humor scene?
I loved it.
A lot of people are giving a lot of shit about that little bit of banter between Poe and Hux.
But it's what he did in Force Awakens. When Kylo gets in front of him and he's like, so how does this work? Do I talk? Do you talk? You know, it's who Poe is. It's not like they deviated from the character.
I agree.
And he was buying time, and I thought it was brilliant. And I love the way Hux played off of that. Like, he was being the evil dude, so he's like, he's messing with me, isn't he? He's like, yeah, he's messing with you, sir. I thought it was fantastic.
I think someone had said that it kind of caught them off guard a little bit. Like, there was this awesome scene, fight scene, this great battle scene, and then that humor just kind of slaps them in the face. But Star Wars always does that. They kind of, to me, they've always kind of put in some humor in odd places, and I'm okay with that. It kind of gives me that nostalgia of like Han and his kind of roguish humor, which Poe I feel like has.
He is. He's a cocky ass. You know,
he is.
He does.
He's that love to hate, but still kind of have a crush on him guy.
Yeah. What about you, Loki, of the opening sequence? I mean, because we have that part, but then you also have the sacrifice of Rose's sister, which I thought was a powerful scene. And you saw with the interaction between Poe and Leia afterwards. Poe just wants to get the shit done, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. He hasn't really learned about leadership and then making decisions. He's just like, get the mission done at no cost. And Leia, especially when she slaps him, I was like, oh, shit. You know, because she's trying to groom him for leadership, and she's like, you know, I'm demoting you. You know, you can't do that shit. Even though he accomplished the mission, I just thought the whole sequence from start to finish was really fantastic. Loki, is there anybody different from that? Do you have a different opinion about the opening sequence?
No, I liked it a lot. I think the conversation with Poe and Hux, it's very in line with what has been going on, you know, with the whole series, with the whole trilogy, with all of them. The Imperial commanders or the Resistance commanders, the head guys, right, like Tarkin and all that. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, they're very stoic, but at the same time, they're very gullible. And I think Poe does a really good job being himself, like what you mentioned, and just kind of, you know, taking advantage of his ignorance. You know, they're very, you know, we're all powerful and this and that. And he's like, yeah, buddy, whatever. You know, I'm gonna, you know, go on your ship and destroy you, right? I mean, it's just, it's the typical, you know, altercation with the wise guy and the all powerful knowing, whatever you want to call him, right? The one of the antagonists. So I agree with you. I think the opening was great. They're trying to get off the planet. They introduced that dreadnought, which is pretty awesome. That ship looked pretty awesome. I like the sequence with the ties. The bombers were kind of cool. I really like that. I was, you know, it was a nail biter when you're like, oh my God, they took all the bombers out and there's this one lone bomber, right? With Rose's sister.
Intense.
And they took out the guy who was supposed to drop the bombs, right? So she was the gunner, right? And then they take out the pilot. So she's like the only one left, right? And I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. That sacrifice, you see that
emotional content when she grabs the necklace. And she's, I love how they catch you in the feels with like all of these scenes, and you don't even know that character. You don't even know her yet, and you're already kind of invested in whatever her story is.
No, it was very scene. Rogue One like when they were trying to introduce the characters. You know, I didn't catch her name at all, but there was the female pilot, right? The lead pilot with Poe.
Yeah, the A-wing pilot.
I don't even know her name, but I mean, it's like when they put her in front of the camera, it's like, holy crap, like she's badass, right? Like she's a commander. She's basically like Poe's counterpart, right?
Joda,
for the bombers.
Joda
for the bomber squad.
Like, so he doesn't like the movie. That's fine. He says bombers don't work in 0G. This is a Star Wars movie. It's fantasy. Well, it's science fiction.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
Well, way back in Empire Strikes Back, the TIE fighters were bombing the asteroids.
Yeah.
So why do you have a problem with it now?
Jay said that they're magnetic. Check out the visual dictionary.
Know. I mean, well, there we go. But I mean,
science.
You have to take. I mean, the Force. I mean, for a movie like Star Wars, right? When you're dealing with stuff, it's so fantastical, like the Force, right? The Force in itself is one of those things you go. You just have to buy into the universe that's created, right? And some movies do that better than others. A prime example is like the first Lord of the Rings series. I loved a lot more than I loved the Hobbit series because it was more grounded. Even though it's fantastical, right? It just was more grounded in reality. Even though a lot of the stuff they were doing, like, I mean, when Arwen calls forth the river, I mean, that's magic. You know, I mean, it's just, you have to put some sort of disbelief to the side, because if you're committed to the universe, then you're just like, because even I can even go a step further. There's no fire in space. Period. There's no explosions in space, but there's explosions in Star Wars. You know, I mean, you can go down the scientific argument down. I mean, none of the stuff in Star Wars makes sense in reality.
Yeah, there's no light speed either. So.
Maybe Star Wars follows the flat Earth model, so it's all just mass and there is no gravity.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to
Yeah, you are. Let's just discredit it right now.
Well, I'm just saying you have to have some sort of disbelief.
I agree. 100%. I feel like those small, like when you pick it out, when you're going that far into picking out problems with the movie, then you don't get Star Wars really at all.
But you're talking about the gravity of the bombs. I mean, come on. That's digging deep.
But it's not so much what the bombs did. It was the actual scene of what was happening in the scene.
Yeah.
Right? Rose's sister was making a sacrifice, right? And that's the important part of the scene, not whether the bombs should work in space or not, you know. So I think that's, you have to kind of approach these movies from that perspective. So you know, I mean, lightsabers should just not work. I mean, I can go down the line. I mean,
and now here's an Easter egg. Poe said punch it, which also was said by Han in the original trilogy.
Yeah, there's little Easter eggs throughout the movie that you have to...
one.
Yeah,
punch it.
Yeah.
No, I love that whole opening space battle scene. It was really good to me. What did you guys think about?
So for the opening sequence, is there anything else that we want to get into? I mean, I'm reading some stuff. What is this? Let me see. I'm just looking at some of the comments.
They're kind of all over the movie.
Leia was straight up breathing in space, chilling there unconscious. Again, a disbelief because she has the Force. The Force, if you've read any of the canon books, the Force, like, the Emperor could create a black hole on a planet, for Christ's sake. I don't think being in space would be a problem for a powerful Force user. The Jedi and the Sith can do shit in the canon that it's just like, oh my god! It's like, you know, when you're pulling Star Destroyer from and crashing them, I mean, it's crazy.
If someone's to say suspend your disbelief, I mean, hell, I did that in 1977.
Yeah.
I mean,
can we please talk about how awesome it was for Leia's, you know, for her to show that she has the Force? Like, we haven't seen that, and I was so excited to see.
I think it was a very special moment for Carrie Fisher. I mean,
it was.
I mean, it was such a powerful, emotional moment for her. And it called back to when Yoda, even in the canon, and well, I don't know if it's still canon, but he thought Leia was the better choice between her and Luke. as the one that they should train.
Yep.
And if you read the EU books, Leia becomes a Jedi, and she becomes a really ridiculous Jedi. Her teacher was the calamari a healer. I can't think of her name, but yeah. But anything about the opening scene, because we're gonna get to the next big plot point that everybody has a big issue with, and I want to talk about it. Yes, no?
No, I think we're good, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next we get back to the island, and then you see Rey come up to Luke, and Luke looks at his lightsaber and throws it over his shoulder. I absolutely love this. And I don't know how the rest of the panel feels, but I thought this was absolutely brilliant. I was sitting there going, oh, shit. It was such a perfect, for me, it was a perfect way to show Luke is done. He doesn't want to have anything to do with this. Things have happened. He is a crusty old hermit. It's like, okay, that's my lightsaber. I want nothing to do with this. Get the hell away from me.
Are we going around? I love that scene. I do. I think it set the tone for me. For this movie means a kind of resetting the Jedi order, resetting the premise of Jedi's good, or light side's good, dark side's bad. They just kind of they're throwing out old ways. They're saying something new has to happen, and the fact that Luke just throws that over his shoulder, like this doesn't mean shit anymore.
I know. Rey's reaction was so perfect. She's like,
yeah, it just
what?
really set the tone for, okay, this is different. This is going to be a different movie. This is not going to be old ways. And I love that. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was humorous and it set a tone.
Well, and the devil's argument was, well, he should have just, it didn't fit with it. But, Luke's been through a lot. Now, there was two ways they could have done it. Other than him throwing it over his shoulder, he just drops it. Rey picks it up, or he gives it back to Rey and says, "Oh, what do you need?" So, but it was such a powerful, just the act of what he did in one swift motion, set in the whole story arc of what was about to happen. Loki, Shay, what do you guys think of that scene?
I loved it. I thought it was perfect. Like Tick said, like she said it all, where you just toss it over the shoulder. Like, here's the old shit. We're gonna we're gonna just throw this back in the back and make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's making it very clear. Everything you thought about the movie is going to be incorrect. Everything you thought was going to happen is not going to be there, and that's awesome.
Well, everything that they showed in the trailer was going to be incorrect, right? So,
yeah.
And it pretty much was. So, I love that scene too. I think it was awesome. That particular lightsaber, right? I mean, it's not a mystery. It's not a surprise that I know these things. I mean, I look at them. I made a hobby of the damn thing, building these. Like,
what would you know
props,
about
right?
a lightsaber?
But no, it's like the one thing, I guess, for me, the big mystery, and not to jump off of this one scene, but it's like, we don't know where the lightsaber came from, right? I mean, Maz
could not have picked it up, and somehow she acquired it.
Yeah, but
right?
I mean, it got lost on Bespin, right? I mean, when Luke and Vader went at it, chopped off his hand, and then the lightsaber fell down, right? Down the little shaft and probably out through the Bespin, planet thing, and it got lost, right? So there's probably a lot of things that we'll probably never know now, but I liked it because Luke was like, to me, right? You look at his face and he's like, "Holy crap, where did you find this?" And it's like, fuck it, right, and throw it over my shoulder.
It's like, okay,
so
great.
It was really it was really cool. I think
eventually they'll probably answer the how did the lightsaber get into Maz's hand with the comics.
I hope they do. Yeah, I hope they do.
If y'all have been following the comics, I have.
All right, Jodo Cast. If you want to just be devil's advocate, send me your information in Discord. I will be glad to put you in here. Because you were just going to throw I'll be more glad. No, trust me, I'm not afraid of a confrontation or debate. It's healthy. But if you want to speak your mind, then give me your information. Send it to me in Discord. If you're not part of our Discord, it's linked in our other videos. Send me your information or put it in there right now. I'll put you in Skype and then you can speak your mind. Because I'm just seeing nothing but just negative stuff.
Hey,
the whole movie
is
he could be, but if you're going to troll, I'm going to call you out. Get your monkey ass in here and then talk about it. Because I do have issues with the film. It's not a perfect film. And we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
But, you know, but if you're just going to be like, this movie sucked. This whole movie's a Jar Jar. Sorry, buddy. You know, I think you're just trolling, man. So just if you want to put your money where your mouth is, then you send me your information. I'll put you in here, and I'll be more than glad to let you share your thoughts and express them. But if you're just going to troll and just be negative the whole time, so sorry. So
don't speak about it, be about it.
That's right.
No, I mean I agree. It's not a perfect movie, but I mean,
yeah, we're gonna get to some of the things I did not.
Yeah,
like.
we'll get into it.
Yeah.
There was pretty much just one part I didn't like, but we'll get on to that. We're not talking about that now. So when we get to that part,
so we all agree that the lightsaber over the shoulder was good. We like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
I did. I liked it. A lot of people don't like that, but I thought it was cool. It was
I think Rian Johnson is just like, okay, hold on, you're in for a whole different world.
Yeah, and I like
everybody
that.
was expecting some kind of deep, like, you know, where did you get this? And he's just like,
I don't care.
You know, like, well, I haven't seen this in 40 years.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, this used to be my dad's. Screw this thing.
Thing's out of batteries. Fuck it.
Yeah.
They don't sell those batteries on Knock 2.
All right, next scene. What are we looking at?
So we get into the whole interaction between Luke and Rey. I mean, the one thing I kind of was trying to figure out, and I think the reason they did that is when Rey starts following Luke, right? She's trying to convince him that he needs to come back, right? And then he's have the milk scene, which people have a problem with. I was kind of like wondering why he did it, but I think he was doing it just to piss off Rey. Like, I'll do something disgusting, get away from me. So he drank the milk from that creature. I don't know if that was the best way to show that, because he did other things too to try to get away from her and stuff, like get away from me. I didn't really like the milk scene. I mean, I understand.
That's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that during our last stream when somebody brought up, "Oh, do you want to drink like pork's blood or blue milk?" And I was kind of like, "Oh, I want to drink the milk on the island."
I have nipples. Can you milk me?
Yeah. Hey, Pookie, if you want to get in here, get with Finn. Send this information to Finn. He'll get you squared away and get you in here, buddy. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he did wink at her. I understand what they were trying to do there in that scene is to show Luke trying to do stuff to maybe gross her out or like get the fuck away from me kind of thing. I don't know if drinking the milk from the creature was the best way, because they did other things that I was like, okay. And then you have the whole thing where he goes into his kind of dwelling, and then Chewbacca bursts through. And
can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go for it. Anytime you want to speak up, guys, speak up.
No, we missed the or we didn't talk about the Finn scene, because the Finn scene was before the island.
Go ahead, Loki.
So no, it's just where Finn was in his little incubator thing, and then Poe lands, right, and then BB-8's like, oh my god, it's Finn in water and he's naked, and Poe's just like, what are you talking about, you know? And then he's walking around, right? So
he wakes up, he's just walking around like.
Yeah.
He's walking around like, oh, skeet, motherfucker.
Yeah. So the first thing he says is like Rey, right, coming out of the little incubator thing. So I thought that was kind of cool how they reintroduced him back from, you know, being in a coma or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And that was pretty funny moment, but
I forgot about that scene. That was really good. All right, so then we have back to the Luke dwelling, and that's when Chewbacca bursts open the door, and he thinks it's Rey, and then you see Chewbacca come in, and then you see Luke realize that, without saying it, that Han's gone.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really powerful scene for Luke for them to acknowledge Han was gone.
Well, he did actually say it. He's like, "Where's Han?"
He said, "Where's Han?" But they didn't say. Nobody said he was actually dead. They just kind of left it like is implied.
Where's Han? Uncomfortable silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do we go from there? So there was a Luke in the dwelling scene, and then
Well, I think there was a cut scene, right? So there was a cut scene, and it was where so they already jumped to light speed, right? I think they cut back and forth, right? And then there was another scene with Hux and Snoke. And then Snoke showed us he could do force power, right?
I mean, you saw
drag
how
Hux on the floor,
he did force lightning on the spot, not from his hand. It just appeared on Kylo and fucked him up, man. And you're like, damn.
Hux.
Cut scene, right? So they cut. There was a cut scene.
Oh, before that, you talk about
Hux when he was talking to Hux.
Where he's like throwing him around like a rag doll.
Who just joined? Like, somebody's echoing now.
Am I echoing?
And then Snoke. Who is that?
You got something playing in the background.
Yeah, you gotta lower the.
Turn the volume of the stream down.
Yeah,
there you go.
JodoCast here. Hey guys.
Don't feel bad. I do it too.
It's okay. It happens.
What's up, Jodo? How you doing, man?
Good. Just gotta say,
Jodo?
huge fan, long-term fan of the RSG. So thank you for doing this.
Yes, absolutely, man.
I've been listening to you guys for over a couple of years now, so thank you so much for what you guys do.
No, appreciate it. Who's the cat in there? Is that Lampshade? Is he trolling my ass?
No, the cat is me.
Who's that? Who's me?
This is Pookie.
Okay,
hey,
cool. I was about to have flashbacks of Lampshade. I'm like, oh Lord, if he does dishes in the background, I'm gonna punch Finn in the dick. I mean, I can't.
Oh no, I'm sorry if I've got something coming through on my end. I'm really sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Look,
you're
good.
It was actually.
If you're not used to streaming, this is just how it goes, man. But okay, so JoJo, you did not like this movie at all, and that's fine. And I just want to. We're gonna break the stuff down, but you know, I want to give people an opportunity to express their opinions because, again, film is subjective. You hated the movie, obviously. So we're at the beginning parts of the movie. Let me ask you this: was there anything you liked about the beginning of the movie at all?
I gotta say, I loved seeing Yoda. I think that was incredible.
Yoda, yeah, but we're still talking about the beginning scene. So we're talking about the opening battle and then the interaction between Luke and Rey on the island when they first start, and Chewie enters in and stuff. That's where we're at right now.
I don't know. I'll ask it to you guys too. I just felt like we were waiting a long time for plot development. There was a lot of talking and not a lot of doing, and I just felt like we were wasting a lot of time. What is Luke doing catching fish and drinking milk, or what are we doing?
That's actually one of my complaints, is that whole sequence where he's climbing mountains.
What are we doing?
Yeah, so I think for me, this is just my perspective, and you guys can interject. What Luke was doing there, and he kept looking back at Rey. So he was doing stuff to get her to get off of him, because she's following him around like a lost puppy, right? And just pounding his ass, right? So, like with the fit, like he takes the pole and he goes across the way and he's looking at her like, you're gonna leave me alone now? I mean, I've already said, get the fuck away from me, and you're not getting the fuck away from me, Oh
no! At the point where he went across with the pole, he was just like, okay, how about now?
Dude,
you know what I mean? He was like, "Get off of me," and then he finally
I
went
agree.
across the thing, and he was like, "How about now?" Now you can't even bug me.
We have 2.5 hours to learn more about these characters, and we're wasting 2 minutes with this fish. What the hell is going on?
2 minutes.
Well, no, I think it's showing where Luke is in his life, because it's showing him
exactly.
None of the Luke scenes were wasted.
So, like for you and me, JoJo, and other people that are familiar with these characters and stuff, we can look at that and like, okay, I get it. Other people that the casual fan that looks at that like, oh wow, that's what Luke's up to now. What the hell is going on?
It doesn't have anything to do with the plot. Let's drive it forward. What is happening?
I think it has everything to do with it, because it shows the psychological makeup of Luke Skywalker. Because here's that one I disagree with. Yeah, I already talked about that. I know you didn't hear that part, but I was like, nah, you could have done that a little bit better. I know what you're trying to go for, but
it's awkward.
It's awkward. It's just so awkward.
It's awkward, dude. it's awkward.
Yeah.
We're
So,
to be-
but the other parts, like with him fishing and stuff like that, and it even gets brought back because when Rey says, "Yeah, I've seen your daily routine," and that's to call him out because Luke is totally disconnected. He does his thing. He catches his food. He lives like a hermit, right? And so you kind of see what he's become. Like he's shut himself out from everything. And so, yeah, the blue milk,
The blue milk.
Green milk.
I'm sorry. I don't know
Green
what.
milk.
Lord.
you know what hurts most? It's so cheap because they're trying to appeal to a fan base the way X-Men, the first X-Men, like appealed to Logan fans with the cigar. Like, hey, look, blue milk. It's like, look, dude.
No,
Green milk.
disagree. I feel like it was a bit of nostalgia, throwing it in where a world is completely topsy-turvy from what we know of Star Wars. They're trying to throw in that piece of nostalgia that we need here.
You know what? For that missing that blue milk 2 minutes, I'd take 2 minutes for Snoke's backstory. How about that?
I think Snoke's backstory is still going to come.
Oh yeah, I think they're gonna reveal that in 9.
Yeah, I think they left that out because
that was very ambiguous, and
it was
like
on purpose.
Yeah,
that's going to be oncoming because everybody wants to know that.
Wastes of time, missed
and
opportunities.
The other thing that I was thinking was, is he doing this to test her, like to test her
patience.
mettle in a way, her patience, and whether her
mettle? I had to wait 45 minutes for her to test her mettle. What do you? I mean, like, let's go. Let's move the story. We have 2.5 hours. Let's go.
There's even the theory.
Well, go watch Transformers if you want action all the time.
She seemed fine to me.
Oh, come on.
Transformers was terrible.
She was
Transformers are the worst movies ever. Jesus
I know.
Christ, I hate those movies.
And
they make $1 billion. What the fuck is going on with people?
Megan Fox is pretty though.
I don't care.
You like the eye candy,
right?
Yeah.
Dude, Megan Fox has a toe thumb, man. I'm not into that.
Yeah. She's cute. She's cute. They're worth
I don't
watching.
know,
She's
man.
cute.
Hey, you
I
haven't
like
seen my
nice
thumbs. What if I have a toe thumb?
But you don't. What color's the manicure tonight? Black, red.
Black. Still black.
Awesome.
See?
Christmas black.
I do have a lot of discrepancies.
She doesn't have a toe thumb, but maybe she has a thumb toe.
No, I know Tits doesn't have a toe thumb, man. I just know it.
Okay,
maybe she has a thumb toe.
Let's get back into the movie. Okay.
Yeah, going back to the scene though, do you guys think it's very reminiscent of like when Luke went to Dagobah and he met Yoda, and then Yoda's just like hopping around and looking through his stuff he's like messing with him, right? So
I kind of got that sense too. I mean, there's some things I agree with JoJo that could have been left out, but I think you have to establish where Luke is. And then, establishing what Rey's trying to do. And then I think it's all culminated. And then when Chewbacca comes in. And even then, Luke's like still resisting, like, I don't care. My best friend just got killed. And he's still in that mindset, like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. I thought for the whole movie, Luke and Rey and Kylo Ren's story was so well done.
Oh my God.
See, there's a reason why Luke is so far out of it, though.
Yeah,
which comes later.
Yeah.
Why was there a map? Why was there a map to Luke Skywalker if he didn't want
to
help?
We don't know that yet. But
he didn't. Who knows? Who says that he made the map?
Yeah, if you remember, Poe got the map from what's his name's character, who was a Church of the. There's a lot of
Larson Tekka.
Larson Tekka, that was a member, high-ranking member of the Church of the Force or whatever it was called, and so he didn't get the map he got it from outside sources. And there's some stuff they're starting to do with the books and the canon.
Which he told someone where he was, right? So why is he giving people his location?
We don't know if you're assuming that he did.
Yeah.
You don't know if somebody knew where he was.
Yeah, they could put a tracking beacon on him, right?
He did.
What do you mean?
Luke
never said I made the map and gave it to someone to find me eventually.
Too many on
maybe someone figured out that he went to the Last Jedi temple.
I mean, Han even
there's
said
got to be a history of that.
Right, Han even said in The Force Awakens, he's like, he went looking for the first Jedi temple. I mean, somebody had to,
At the bottom
somebody's got to know about Act 2.
Bottom of the line, Rian Johnson's making his film for himself.
No,
I disagree.
Come on.
I think that's a little harsh.
Here's the proof. He let JJ, he's giving JJ the Leia issue, which he could have solved in the second film.
No, I disagree.
Give it to her.
Well, we don't know about the Leia issue. That's not fair
See,
because Carrie Fisher passed
they
away.
could have solved the Leia issue in this film.
No,
They
because he
didn't.
doesn't care
with the
about
whole
his
part
legacy.
where she explodes into
But
space.
they had
That could
already
have been
shot
it.
the movie. It's not like they couldn't go back and do reshoots to try to change.
Yeah,
Leia
but they could have
died.
edited it to where
She's
like
not
the
even
point
in the
where she gets
movie.
blown into space is where that's the end of
They
her story.
could've, but I think they were true to her character and they were true to the story that they created. Because you can
Leia-
always go back. We don't know what's going to happen with 9. That's the one thing I love about The Last Jedi.
Here's what's really frustrating. If Leia died, she's not even, she survives, and she's in the movie for. She comes into the third act. She's dead. What is? Why do we need to bring her in again? It's bizarre. It's bizarre.
It's not.
Well, yeah,
because
that's
it
the
ties
only thing.
into-
I had that same question: is how she's alive right now in the universe, but she's
It's Jake-
dead in the real world. So
Well,
how do you
yeah,
bring
that
her into
happens,
episode 9?
You know, but I mean, I think what they're and what I think they're going to do with episode 9 is, I think the plan was
The movie was already done filming before she died.
She was.
No.
Yeah, she was. That's a
It
fact.
was.
Her
It was done,
role
yeah.
had been done. They had done
Her role was
reshoots,
done before the movie.
You know what?
And then she passed away.
Production may be done, but not post-production. They can
But
edit
you-
her out. She's
They
dead.
How would they edit her
but
out?
That would
of a-
change the whole arc of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Because
It would cost
basically,
a lot
from what
of
I
money
Well, no,
to
I'm,
do that,
understand,
I'm talking about episode 9. She lives. I mean, she's in the story still.
right? and-
Well,
So in episode 9, what are they going to do about that?
we don't
Exactly.
know yet, but there's a lot of ways they can go with it because they can say we don't know how many years they're gonna. Because if you look like Empire and Jedi, they took their place 3 or 4 years after the fact, right? They were like,
Yeah.
you know, some they could say Leia's passed away. The role of the Resistance has passed to Poe. They are on
Nope.
their back heels, you know, something along those. I mean, I'm just throwing one way of telling a story that they can go.
Ryan is trying to secure his legacy and passing it to JJ, who started all this crap. And it's Ryan killed off Snoke, kills off Phasma, kills off all these things that JJ tried to do. So he's passing it off to him in the third film. I'm telling you,
No,
it's a legacy.
Mm-mm.
He
No.
doesn't care about you
I
or
do
me.
agree the Phasma
And-
thing pissed me off. That's one of the things I did
No,
not
I
like
think-
about this Phasma. She did. I mean, you
He's
know,
killing off all JJ's characters. Do you
Mm.
understand this? This is what's so
God, with-
No, I don't. I disagree with you, buddy. Because I mean, you can make the argument that Phasma was. Oh, Jesus, the way they handled Phasma was just wrong.
That's my
Yeah,
only.
yeah.
That's
just
Phasma was-
wrong, man. I mean,
there was 2
Laser
things that bothered
axes.
me, and one of them was Phasma.
I mean, she just pops in like, "Oh, welcome back," blah blah blah, and then the next thing
She was supposed to have such a bigger part in this movie.
And
Well, she
it's such
shows
a,
up and
it's so
gets
awful
her ass
because
kicked
Gwendolyn
and dies.
Christie is such a great actress. I mean, if you've not seen her in Game of Thrones, she's phenomenal.
100% agree with you.
And she's so graceful in Game of Thrones with her
Oh my
fighting style.
God.
And she was so
They did her
clunky
dirty,
in
man. That's one of the
Phasma.
biggest problems I
Phasma
have with
was
this movie.
clunky as hell to me, and I feel like they
It's such a waste of a talent and a character.
Exactly.
Phasma
This
to
is,
go
I'm,
down-
I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I've been so since I was a kid. Okay, I'm not trying to front on this. I'm kind of, I care, man. I just don't.
No, it's okay. Listen, I'm not saying that your opinion is wrong. I'm just saying I disagree. There's a big
Can I
difference.
say it's wrong?
Mhm.
You didn't disagree with Phasma, so
No, but there's going to be points that we're going to
What
agree
does that
on
have to
certain
do
stuff,
with
and then there's again, film is so subjective. You know what I'm saying? Like if you looked at, we just did our top 3, right? We're all different, but because certain movies will touch you in a certain way that will not have any effect on somebody else, and then that's okay. You know, there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to, you know, looking at these movies. I mean,
wait a minute. No, wait. There is such a thing as like proper storytelling, and like if you're not doing a good job with a multi-million billion,
But that's your opinion
But
that
that's
it's
your
not
opinion.
proper.
You
We
can't say
feel
that
that,
it's-
it was
Come
a
on.
proper story.
I can say that my opinion is this, but it doesn't. I mean, there's objective truth, and then there's actual, you know, personal
Factual
truth. You know, personal truth and objective truth. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we're all dealing with the latter, right? This is just our own version of the truth that we see it as.
Cool.
So-
So sequel. Let's just kill off all the characters. Cool. Luke.
But-
yep. Whatever. Yep. That's
But
good.
I think they have.
It's a passing of the torch thing.
It is.
Passing of the torch.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's-
You didn't pick up on that? So, I mean, think about
That's
this for a second.
so much work.
I mean,
movie's called
hello,
The
we're
Last
getting
Jedi.
old. Our
New
kids need to get
generation.
into this now. Like,
How about giving replacements? Remember that scene when Finn is in the ship with Benicio del Toro? You remember that scene? What if Finn became a scoundrel like Han? Let's replace Han.
Why would you want to regurgitate content over and over again?
I liked what they. The problem I had with the DJ character is,
dude,
what the fuck, man? He just shows up, and when you have again, this is my second.
I like Benicio.
He's
kind of like a Hondo Inaka.
I don't know what the fuck he is, but it's like
he's kind of like a Hondo Inaka. He's just like there with the scheme, and then at the end he gets paid, and he's like, "Oh, I'm still your friend."
You know, this is just the truth of things. I mean, that part of it was okay, but you have a person of Benicio del Toro's caliber playing a role. I would have made him a more the one problem the Luke, the Kylo, the Snoke, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The Finn and Rose interaction and their acting and their characters were fine. The story they went on, and then this DJ character, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like,
the story they went on was sort of worthless in my opinion.
It really was, and that's
now. Did y'all notice the Easter egg that when the car or the ship gets parked in front of the casino, you can't park your car here, right?
No, yeah, I'm okay
from
with that.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I mean, think about it.
I didn't pick up on that.
Well, yeah, but they park the ship in front of the casino, and it's like they get in trouble because you can't park your car here.
I love Fear.
I wasn't even thinking about damn bats and manta rays on that one.
Yeah, the purple-haired general, by the way, just to not keep bouncing around, but you guys remember the purple-haired
her character is developed in the books, and I don't know why they went with purple hair, but I thought
here's my theory with that. That is Kathleen Kennedy telling the Rebel Alliance that, like, I'm here to stay, I'm the replacement person here, and so she's for the whole second or third act, I'm the antagonist. Everybody hates me, right?
No, not everybody hates her, just Finn.
And then she ends up, what does she end up being? She ends up being the hero, right?
Well, yes, that's exactly what she's supposed to be. No.
It's an overt metaphor for that.
No.
And
you're reading too much into it, buddy. Sorry. Her character, what she does,
where are you coming from?
She is a development character, and she's a counter. If you think about all the interactions between her and Poe, Poe is the hothead. Poe, you saw this in the beginning of the movie, right? He's rash. He's a hotshot pilot.
It has
absolutely it has everything to do with Poe, because Poe thinks what he's doing is right. He sends.
It was establishing Poe's character.
Okay.
Interaction with authority.
What is the purpose of her character then?
Her purpose in the character is to be the reason to Poe's rashness. So
and this is, how does this develop with Luke, and what does this have?
This has nothing to do with Luke. That's a part of the story.
There's so many subplots.
Right.
Read the Poe comics.
No. We're not talking fan base. We're talking general audience. What does this have to do with the Star Wars?
Hold on, wait. What do you mean?
There's so many subplots everywhere.
I mean, if you look at Empire Strikes Back, right, you had multiple story arcs going at the same time.
Which were what?
Exactly.
And they all tied in together because they all ended up at one location. This kind of, and a lot of movies do this the same way. You'll have different characters going on different arcs. Now, I didn't really like the Finn arc as much as I liked the Rey.
I don't know. It's like an almost, You're like, you almost hit the target, but okay.
But I think that the Poe arc should have totally been avoided, or not Poe, but the Finn arc should have been avoided with her. Like, I mean, he's still a high-ranking officer, right? Like, okay, so he wasn't Commander Poe or whatever he was before.
Jedi and Luke and Rey. What are we talking about right now? Like this subplot.
We're talking about the movie.
Okay, you're missing the point. Okay, so there's the story arc of them trying to get to this planet Craig. Now, Luke's arc is him dealing with what he's doing with Rey and the Force and everything, and her trying to bring him back, and it all ties back into Crate. Now, her sacrifice is because, one, she's there to be the opposite of what Poe is. Poe is rash, he wants to make decisions, and he thinks he knows what he's doing, even though he's young and inexperienced. She is an experienced general who has been in battles, knows what's going on. She knows there's a bigger picture than what Poe is able to see.
About her. I've invested a movie and a half. I don't care about the what.
Why would you not care about
her?
What did she do?
When Leia
What
was
do you
young,
mean? What did
she would
she
have been a lot
do? She
like Poe.
kept the rebels going when Leia
Don't
was
you think
down.
maybe it
So
should've
wait a minute. Question. So you want a whole movie with just Luke and just Kylo and just Snoke,
Yeah,
and that's it?
Okay. A better question is, okay, how would you have fixed it? What did you
Okay.
want to see?
Oh, good. Yes, Shay.
Let me
How
tell
would you
you.
have fixed it?
Solutions are always the key.
That's right.
Great.
Yeah. What
Love
would
it.
what would be the perfect movie for you?
Ready?
Let's
Ready?
hear it.
Akbar died on a byline. How do you feel about that?
No, I'm
That-
saying, well,
that-
no,
asking you, how would
you
you
didn't
fix
just
the
answer
movie?
the
How about-
question.
you're
How
deflecting.
is the movie perfect
Waste
for
of-
you?
Laura Dern's a.
What would you have done?
What would you do to tie in
Man-
the stories?
Where is Akbar? Shouldn't
That's
he
not
have been
the
one that
question,
sacrificed-
buddy. That's
No, okay, well then how would
What is
Akbar
your-
be part of the movie?
What is your?
Okay,
we didn't
okay,
ask
Akbar,
that.
we're getting
asking
somewhere.
JoJo, what is your?
How would
solution?
Akbar be part of the movie then?
Shouldn't he have sacrificed himself in that situation?
Well,
How?
he did though. He
Okay,
died.
Explain. Well then,
Did you see it?
He got sucked
Yeah,
into
he did.
space.
Oh
Yes,
my
I
God.
saw it.
I'm pretty sure we all seen it.
I was
God, I
waiting
gotta
for him
go
to say
get a
the
drink.
trap. Ah!
It's a trap.
He
It's a
died.
trap.
He died when Leia flew
Did you
out
see
the-
Akbar die
Yeah,
flew
yeah,
out
he
the
got
bridge.
blown out the
Died.
window.
in a byline on a line
Okay,
from a
but you
character?
still, what is
Okay,
your
so then what would
solution?
you have done?
What would you?
Yeah,
No,
Yeah,
that's
Laura
what-
Dern
Question.
said that he died, and she
Oh my
said that
God.
to the crew.
JoJo, okay, everybody be quiet. Me and JoJo. What is your solution in the movie with this story that, since you didn't agree with that arc, what would have been your choice? We have Luke and Rey and everything going on one story. What would be the other story to tie in? How would you have tied in the other characters?
I just think it got a little lost with the subplots and then like new characters that kind of came and went. I'm not saying it's bad. It just kind of missed the mark.
That's okay.
You're not
That's
saying
okay.
it's
That's I could accept that. But what is your solution? What would have been, in your mind, what would have worked?
What the hell am I coming into right now?
A little bit
Nothing.
probably
Fitz,
a
this
little
is
bit.
what happens when you're packing, son of a bitch.
I know, I come back
Just
and
a
everyone's
little
just
bit
yelling
more-
at each other.
We're
Hug
not
the
yelling. We're
horns.
having a discussion. Then you shut your dirty troll pie hole. So, but Jojo, what is your solution? What would have worked for you for this? Since this part's,
I think it actually, you know what? It actually goes back to Force Awakens. I think they should have introduced Luke a little earlier because you can't talk about these movies unless you talk about the whole arc, right?
that's true. Let's go back to Force.
All right.
I agree.
So,
I had issues
In the
with
Force
too.
Awakens, I actually work in LA. I work in the industry, so I feel like I can speak a little bit about this. I'm not a pro, but I know enough about it. Okay.
Sure.
So, Force Awakens. Remember when the lightsaber flies across the screen and Rey grabs it?
Right.
All right. So for me, this is just subjective. Y'all can disagree, okay? The lightsaber should have flown across the screen and Luke grabbed it, okay? Which would have justified Luke's character always rushing to save his friends like Han and everybody else. People would have lost their minds in that movie like, oh shit, it's Luke.
So he wouldn't have learned
Hang
anything
on.
by then.
Hang
Hold
on.
on. Let him finish
Hang
this
on.
point.
Grabs the lightsaber, does his deed, which leads to the next film, which is why Mark Hamill was so upset with the fact that he's like, well, what about Han? Or like, I wanted to be there or mourn with them or whatever. Not to mention Chewie's 2-second scene in The Force Awakens mourning his best friend Han. That's all we get? BS. Force Awakens is a mission statement. It's a mission statement.
Okay,
like,
so
we're Disney and
let
we're
me,
here.
Let me
Okay,
make sure I
correct.
get this correct. A character that they're looking for, they have no idea where they're at.
Had been there the whole time.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, we haven't seen him through the entire
Correct.
movie, and he just pops in.
No, it would have explained. It would have been tied to his whole character. He always goes Cloud City, rushes
So
to
the
go
whole
save.
movie, we haven't seen Luke at all. We haven't seen him one bit.
Correct.
We
People
haven't
would have-
seen his any story
Correct.
arc or anything. He just pops in and he grabs
Correct.
the lightsaber.
Correct.
And you don't think that
Luke
there would have
Skywalker is legal?
I mean, you
No,
don't see
I
any
think
issues with
JJ
that.
did
People would have
justice.
lost their minds in that movie if Luke grabbed the lightsaber at the end of The Force Awakens instead of a dumb earthquake separating two characters, which is, by the way, the worst story mistake in any script writing class you ever take. Oh, a lightning bolt hits the villain and dies. Like, it's not.
But
it
that
doesn't work.
that didn't.
It
Learned that in college.
Make any sense. It should be solved. Okay? It should be solved.
But
Well, then
there's a
what-
bigger
what else
picture
would leave
of why
tele-
Luke.
yeah.
But see, now you see with the Last Jedi why Luke didn't show up.
Right. So Luke now, Mark Hamill, who has been on camera talking about it, is like, dude, I should have been in the movie a little bit more, hinting at that, right?
I've seen those interviews, and I can tell you he didn't agree with the choice, but he also said this. My job is not to do that. My job is to take the material in front of me and then present it.
You asked what I would do. Not I'm
if
telling you.
Mark Hamill had enough of a problem with the character, he could have not done it.
No, absolutely not, dude. You have no idea how.
But he
I
actually,
have no idea.
he actually did it.
I live in LA. You have no idea what actor.
Whatever.
Come on, man. I'm a former rock star.
If I was a 40-year-old actor, if I had been in movies for 40 years and I had done a character,
dude, are you a filmmaker?
And then they
in LA?
no, I mean, but I'm just saying.
Hold on, just because.
Oh my
hold
God.
on.
Am I a
Hold on,
filmmaker?
hold on.
What are you talking about?
You can't
Like,
throw
come
out the
on.
card. I do this,
I
you
know.
don't. Therefore, you
Yeah.
can't know.
Ridiculous.
I mean, understanding, being learned and knowing knowledge and understanding things does not have anything to do. Now, you may have more experience, but that's not a trump card to throw down saying, oh, I know this more than you do. Okay. So let's leave that out.
If you
want
can't
to
make an argument based on what it is, and don't use your
Look,
trump
Ranger
card.
asked me what I would do. I'm giving you what I would do.
I agree with. See,
All I heard was a lot of stuff about Force Awakens. I didn't really hear what you would
because
do.
it's an arc.
Okay,
It's
well,
an
we're asking
okay.
from
In
this
the
point
Last
forward.
Jedi,
You can't fix two
can't-
if you don't fix one.
Okay, so,
Oh.
but let's say that you can't fix one. You go into the Last Jedi. There's lots of ways you can go. No, it's not impossible. Don't give me that. I know lots of writers, and I've read lots of series where the characters are developed, and I could throw like 1,000 at you. Which way in the Last Jedi? You know what already happened in Force Awakens. You can go any direction you want to take these characters. How do you take them in the direction that you want to go? What is your story arc? You're saying you're the expert. You can't change Force Awakens.
I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm just saying
I'm giving you that credit. I'm saying you are the expert. You're the person the studio is coming to.
No.
I'm saying the studio is coming to you saying,
subjective.
JoJo, what is your perspective? Where are we going? I want a specific answer. What is the story arc that you would take these characters on in The Last Jedi?
Take it home.
I know. I just think that I'm like up against a wall here because you guys are asking me for solutions. I guess you guys.
But
Well,
no.
if you
I
can
want
point
your
out all the
opinion.
problems,
You
you
can
should be
just
able to have
say,
a-
yeah, just tell me what you feel about how you think that.
You were the one coming at everybody saying that this thing sucks.
I think I'm going to stick by it. You can't fix it unless you fix the first one.
Oh.
So if Luke enters, this is my fix, guys.
Okay, well, can I give you my opinion? My opinion is you need to stay off of the Reddit forums and just picking apart what you think
Never
is wrong
posted on
with the
Reddit in my
movie.
entire life.
Okay,
Well,
now we're getting
whatever.
personal. I'm not going to let this go. No, we're not doing this.
No, well,
Sorry,
instead-
no,
okay,
we're not
hold
doing
on,
this.
hold
No. JoJo
Hold
on.
Let me have some fun.
JoJo was about to say how he would fix it. That's what we've been asking
Okay,
him the
I
whole
had to interrupt.
time.
It's JoJo.
JoJo. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say
JoJo
JoJo?
just said how he would fix it.
Did I say JoJo? Oh, I'm sorry, dude.
You've been saying JoJo for the last half an
Why
hour.
did somebody crack me before then? Finn, you goddamn
Because I
troll.
was
You
a
set me up for failure
Grande's
again.
apprentice.
Turns out
It should have been, guys. It should have been fixed in the third act of Force Awakens.
Okay,
That's
so,
all I have. For you.
So we'll go with that. So we fixed
all
what we
you
did
got.
Luke and that arc. So
I think that, look, as a Star Wars fan, look, I'm a Luke fan. So I just think that, I think what Mark Hamill was trying to say in all those videos and stuff, whatever, he's like, I think he wholeheartedly disagreed with the director's choices. Like, no, we're going to do this. And I think Mark was like, okay. And he went with it. And to his credit, he went with it. And that's cool. I think that Mark knew the character a little bit more and was questioning some of the choices in Force Awakens.
And I think, and the one thing I did see in the interviews is that Rian Johnson actually got his input about lots of things from Mark Hamill. They had a very interactive relationship. I mean, there was a direction that he was going, but Mark would ask him questions like, "What was the backstory?" And Ryan would say, "Well, what would you like the backstory to be based off where we're going?" And he gave Mark that ability. So I mean, and I've seen those in several interviews where Mark talks about it. So we kind of got off a sidetrack, and that's okay. Look,
Can I jump in here really quick?
Yeah, Finn, go ahead, Finn.
Probably pass out a little bit.
Oh Lord, Finn, learn to drink caffeine.
Yeah. I know.
Then we
So-
need a mediator.
Well, you guys were talking about the blue milk and everything, and how that was kind of a weird scene and all that.
Green milk.
Green milk. Sorry, the green. They made it a little awkward, but in all honesty, I kind of like that scene with all the fishing and everything, and it ties in more later on, especially when you get the whole story between Kylo and Luke, and how that whole scenario really messed him up. It was, and that's kind of why I like the fact that he was on an island, the way that they ended Force Awakens. They have him kind of secluded from everybody, and it kind of builds up this whole kind of inner struggle that Luke, even as the Jedi Master, has with the dark side. Like, he was almost pulled to the point where he basically almost killed his apprentice at that time.
His nephew.
And his nephew got caught in it, but managed to restrain himself. But even that fleeting moment had such consequences for the rest of his future that he kind of just felt that he needed to be alone and just struggle through everyday life and never feel like anything is just simple.
Yeah, and
so
I think
he does everything. Like,
and I think Jodo.
I hear you, because at first that was my problem with the movie, is how is this Luke Skywalker is going to kill his nephew, because his sister's kid, because he thinks that he might turn to the dark side. That's so out of character. But then you realize, like, that's why he is out on the island, like, being afraid, like, oh my God, I fucked up.
But I like Jodo's point.
I mean, Luke Skywalker is human.
But I like Jodo's point about, I love that they brought Yoda in to be the same Yoda for Empire, like,
Yoda,
never where you are or what you're doing.
She has what she needs.
Like, grow the fuck up. You may be a Jedi Master, but get over it. What are you doing?
Yeah. Dude, this is the same Luke Skywalker that told his father, like, there's conflict within you. Like, let's work this out. And he's going to strike down this dude that's sleeping.
Well, exactly. Well, they're humanizing him.
Right. Yes, Shay. That's my point.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, oh, geez. Like, even the legendary Luke Skywalker had a moment where he fucked up. And that moment where he fucked up had a impact on the world. Like, you know, like.
I'm okay with that choice if you build to it as a moment, but they didn't. They're like, this is what happened. That's like, dude.
Well, they build it right. The hermit scene is building up that emotion of a shell of a man.
Where was the
shell of a man who believes
everything the comics.
No, not the comics. Even in the movie they did it. They talk about, Luke gives hints all the time. He's like, I've seen this raw power before. I wasn't scared of it then. I am now. I mean, there's little things that he says that you see the regret in what Luke, that choice, that one fleeting moment where he's in it, and it messed with his mind. He's like, and he felt like he had failed, because after what we saw, what happens afterwards is like,
dude, when a guy that played the character for all those years tells you, I feel weird about this, what does that tell you?
Yeah, but he went ahead and
he wants to be in the
but I mean, actors do that all the time. Let's be real, dude.
No.
I can bring up all kinds of examples of actors.
Mark Hamill could have said, he could have put his foot down and said, no, I'm not going to do this.
Oh, yeah, they would have been screwed.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. They would have, they could have they could have thrown money at him over and over and over again, or whatever. Or they could have.
Who makes millions of dollars? What are you talking about? You're telling me
they did.
Yeah, outlets.
But Mark Hamill could have said no.
But I mean, if you look at the character of Luke,
because the guy doesn't need the money.
Even in the EU,
this is insanity.
No, even in the EU, even in the Legends books, Luke fucks up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about the movie.
Hell, there's an EU where he goes dark side for a minute.
And the people that grew up after, even through Heir to the Empire and all the books after the Return of the Jedi, Luke is the hero that we come to recognize the most, because he is flawed. He does make mistakes. He does get closer to the dark side in some of the books. He does make choices that he regrets, right? And he has to try to get through those things. And I think that's what a true hero story is really all about. Because
it didn't drive
not just conquest, but struggles.
It's the conflict of, like, you put in those situations, and people in the military and other things can tell you, you're put in those situations where it's a moment, right? And you have to make a snap decision, and it has profound consequences of the rest of your life. Because think about that. If I had to make a choice and I'm put in that situation of having to kill my nephew, and then everything bad happens between that. Luke went into depression. He went to become a hermit, and it shows his arc as a character he's one of the most powerful Force users ever. He's still a flawed human man.
Okay, so let's just take this. Okay, so if this is the case, and he's like, I want to go to this island. I came to this island to die, right? Now, why did he go to the first Jedi temple to die? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Well, they haven't explained that part either. I mean, we're assuming...
He just went to go to the temple. He didn't say in the beginning that he went there to die. He may have discovered...
That gives him room for comics.
Right.
Yeah, because the whole thing is he's seeing the flaw in the Jedi system. He feels it's nothing. It's a waste. That's pretty much the whole thing. It's a flawed system, and he says it means nothing anymore. So maybe he discovered that on the island. Maybe he came to that.
Well, we'll never know because you have awesome questions, by the way. You have great questions that are never answered.
But we don't know that because episode 9 could get into some of those unanswered questions.
So are we going to go to the next scene of the movie? I'm sorry to cut everybody off.
Yeah. Let's do it.
We're kind of going off on a tangent, but... okay, so the next scene...
I think this is
So the next scene I remember is... Okay, so Chewie kicks down the door, and then he says, where's Han? And then it cuts to Kylo in the elevator, and then he goes to Snoke's throne room, and they show the Praetorian guards in the back, and they have a conversation.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because they killed him off with. Who cares?
I love those Praetorian guards.
Because unlike Return of the Jedi, where you saw the royal guard, they just kind of stood there. You never actually got to see them do anything.
Well, Ranger, this is my theory here. This is why I think a couple streams ago we were going at it about so where are the Knights of Ren, right? And I said, they're all
I hear you.
And then you got all mad, but I said, no, dude, I think the Praetorian guards are the Knights of Ren because when Kylo burned the temple, right, he said that he took students with him.
Great idea. Didn't do it.
So
I think the Knights of Ren are going to be. They're still in the background. We haven't really, because I remember the Force Awakens. I remember getting the book and who they were and stuff. They didn't really delve into them. They exist. They kind of look like Kylo in different aspects. They have different characteristics that they all take. Kind of like Lord of Hunger and Lord of Pain from the old Sith Triumvirate and stuff. I think they're gonna be a more prominent feature under Kylo as the former apprentices of Luke. Versus who Rey is going to find in the Force for the Jedi, and I think what they're going to do with 9 is show dark side in this aspect versus light side in the New Order, which is what Rey is going to have to create is the New Order of the Jedi, and I think that's where they're going to do with the Knights of Ren.
On the other spectrum, I guess Kylo Ren has to build the dark side.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we do have the old Sith teaching, but that comes from Darth Bane, the rule of 2, right? But
who's the big baddie now?
Well, but before then, you had Sith were everywhere. I mean, they had an empire. I mean, multiple empires where Sith were just running around with lightsabers. And Kylo Ren, I'll show you the power of the dark side. But they could go that route that he's building up his new legions of dark side, and then Rey will be the new legions of the light side,
we still don't know how they're going to go with it. I mean, to me, it seems like they're both like Kylo and Luke both realize that the way the system is worked is not working. It's not good.
They did hit on that in this last season of Rebels.
They want to change
one of the things I loved about the Rebels, the animated series, is that when they brought in the Bendo, talking about Ashen and Boken and the ancient Jedi.
That's where I thought it was going to go. Absolutely,
It still could. I don't think they are going to do it for this. They still could. I would love to see them go into that. It would be so cool if Episode 9 was a reunification where there's a huge battle, but they kind of learn that the light side and the dark side are just all one aspects of the living force, because the Jedi believed in the living force, and the light side and the dark side had both prominent features in the role of the Jedi, right? You had to master both sides to become a Jedi, right? And the names came from the 2 moons that evolved around the planet. It's when the schism happened, and then the Sith went way dark and the Jedi went way light, that you get, all this fanatical belief system of, the Jedi, for what they were so flawed, and so were the Sith.
I think just the fundamental issue with the film is like what perspective was the movie taking on? Was it Rey or Luke or?
I think it's from my perspective. This is two main points. It's the struggle of the resistance, and it's the story of
through who?
Well, I mean, it's the struggle of the people fighting in the resistance.
I think it was Poe. I think the resistance story was more a focus of Poe, because if you look at everything that happened, they were really building up Poe's character a lot. Because by the end of it, especially when they were separated and when they went onto the shuttle, like when they went onto the shuttle, right? That's when, or when they were in the bunker.
Yeah.
If you remember when they were in the bunker, that's when Poe came up with a decision like, Luke is buying us time. We need to find another escape route, which is different than his previous, like everything built up to that decision, like that mindset.
I'm going to the movie for Poe.
Of course, you're going to the movie to Poe. Just because you like Jedi doesn't mean other people.
Finn,
come on now. Poe, Finn, and Rey are the new parts. Come on, man. Don't even.
If people felt the way you did watching the original Star Wars, they wouldn't have gone to see the movie because Han was in it. They only wanted to see
Luke. It was a main character.
So if
Poe's a main character,
would you say that about Han?
Poe, Finn, and Rey are the main characters of this trilogy.
Right.
Luke is there in order to build up.
In Last Jedi.
This whole new series is about
good points. It's like,
I mean, like if we went by your theory of what's good and what shouldn't happen,
no.
We would have never gotten Slave Leia, and I would never have had early boners from in a childhood at the age of 12.
Everything sucks.
No.
I mean, who here just did not agree? Carrie Fisher in Slave Leia outfit is like, oh my god.
I got a lady bone.
First act. Let me lay this out for you guys. First act, Rey, no action. Second act, Rey, no action.
That's not an
argument. Is the main character of the Last Jedi.
So in Star Wars, there was no action in the first.
Empire Strikes Back. Hold on, Empire Strikes Back.
Has Luke in the first act.
A lot of great movies have no action.
Then what happens? Through the rest of the movie up to the end, it's all scenes of people talking.
Dude, there's no main character in The Last Jedi.
That's not true.
Ray,
oh my god,
Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back. Okay? Luke in the first act, training. Luke on Cloud City, second act.
No, you got it wrong. First act is Hoth. First act is Hoth.
I guess you just ignore Rey because there's no main character.
Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. So what happens with Rey in the first and second act?
What do you mean? What happens here in the first and second act?
I'm asking.
The act is establishing her relationship with Luke.
Second, no. Action. What does
why does it have to be action?
It doesn't have action.
Why
How many movies out there that are fantastic movies don't have action? I can pull up The Dark Knight, for example.
Passive heroes. Are you kidding me?
The interaction.
Are you older than 22?
Hold on.
I'm 31 and I work in the film.
Hold on.
Passive
31.
The Dark Knight is one of the best comic book movies ever made. Most of that movie has not to do with the action. It has to.
Oh my god!
It has to do with the
passive heroes. Passive heroes is what you're talking about right now?
No, I'm talking about just relationships and the
scene. So talking? Lots of talking?
You mean to tell me that scene...
There's different ways of character development. You should know that.
The difference... You mean to tell me that scene with Batman and the Joker in the cell when they're talking to one another...
Talking about The Last Jedi.
Or...
A lot of talking could annoy people without the brain capacity to listen to it.
Action does not necessarily mean that there's no point to it.
Here's Rey in the first and second act. Luke, I need your help. Luke, I need your help.
That's
Luke,
not
I need
true.
your help. Luke, I need your help.
That's totally
Luke,
not true.
Luke,
You
I
know
need your
that's
help.
not true. That's not true, man. Okay, so Rey is trying to understand who she is.
For 45 minutes.
Well, of course, it's developing her character. You only have a 2.5 hour movie to take her from The Force Awakens.
The new Jedi.
Okay.
She's trying to figure out first, what is the Force? What is my relationship with Luke? What is my relationship with the Force in consideration, and the establishment between her and Kylo, and the aspect of what their relationship is, and then you've got her delving into that, learning, okay, the scene with her and Luke where she's like, what do you feel? I feel light, I feel darkness, I feel cold. I mean, all that stuff, right? And then her trying to make the choice, like, and then she even says, I'll do this myself. And then Luke's like, okay, I'm done still. And then Luke having to make that decision after Yoda kind of kicks him in the third gear, saying, wake up, man. You know, you're needed. And then what I loved about Luke, and I think that what makes it such a powerful thing is Luke sacrifices himself for the Resistance. He did it for Leia, and he did it for the Resistance. And he did it in one of the most powerful ways ever seen. You know, but you have to. You just can't go into the third act with action. I mean, there was tons of action in this movie.
Can we talk about the scene with Snoke and Kylo Ren?
I mean, he bitch slapped him.
Oh my God, Paul!
I tried.
Bracamonte is fucking hilarious.
Very visceral reactions to my commentary in the live chat. Wow.
I tried to talk about the movie, but we're talking about how to watch movies. So,
well, I mean,
well, man, I don't know what to tell you.
How about the scene between Kylo Ren and Snoke?
So Kylo Ren and
Snoke and Kylo Ren.
It just kind of shows that Snoke is really fucking with Kylo Ren. I mean, he is manipulating the hell out of him.
Oh, who was fucking with who there? Really?
Well, that's a good point. But I mean, I think in the initial part, Snoke does have he knows how to manipulate him because he knows Kylo is such an emotional person, right? He plays off that, and I think it was brilliant of Snoke to start drawing Kylo and Rey together, right, into their interactions.
I think they told Adam Driver act like Hayden Christensen's grandson.
God.
And also, I mean, literally, I mean, like, he nails it. I mean, it's Anakin's. Yeah.
Oh, Anakin's, I loved it when he said, "Take off that
family.
Thing." Yeah. Take off that thing. You know, I thought.
Take off that ridiculous thing.
Right. He thinks he's Darth Vader. And he's like, "Bitch, you're no Darth Vader." I thought you could be, but you're not going to be. You know. And then,
well, that's what Han told Kylo at the end of Force Awakens.
Right.
Too, right?
Show me
that thing off.
the dark side.
I know what I have to do, but I can't do it.
Ooh, talk Kylo to me, baby.
My name is Matt.
What are you?
I'm a
Hi,
technician.
Hi, tits. I'll show you my lightsaber.
Are you plugging your nose there?
No, I just use real voice. You know, Kylo Ren. So we have that, and then the story kind of breaks off because then we have the Finn and Rose story. I like the characters, I love their interactions, but the arc again, it just this is the part of the movie where I was like,
Finn's character as a whole got lost in this movie.
I agree with that.
Yeah, we need more characters.
Rey, Poe, Kylo, Finn got lost because they kept throwing him around. He was basically, unfortunately, in order to develop Poe's character, he kind of became like Poe's errand boy running around everywhere. And it didn't really develop the way I think Finn's character really should have been.
No, I agree.
But it did start something with him and Rose, which may pick up more in episode 9, assuming she's still alive once we get to that point.
He needed another romance interest instead of Rey.
Oh, I don't know. He still hugged her like, "Hey, baby." At the end of the movie, like, "Hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while."
I love Rose though. I think.
Yeah, I thought she was a fun character, and I thought, but the story they go on, I agree with Jodo on this. It doesn't fucking make sense, man. And the ways that Benicio del Toro's character DJ. I mean, it was cool to go to the gambling world and how they set that up, but it just didn't. You know, we've got the Resistance getting their ass kicked and being attacked at that moment. I understand why they did, because Poe's trying to find a way, and it shows Poe not thinking, just reacting. But they could have done a different way with that. I just didn't like that. I mean, their interaction, what they go through, makes sense. But then they meet Benicio del Toro's character DJ, and it's like they meet him. He's on the ship, blah blah blah. It's like, and then they get to the Phasma scene. I was like, oh come on, man, really?
Maybe I don't know if this was kind of an obvious thought process for anyone else, but for me, I thought that DJ was the master code hacker that Maz was talking about from the beginning, and he probably lost his little pendant thing to that dude that they saw.
Like in a game, a card game or something.
Exactly.
Oh.
And then I think in episode 9, if they had mentioned Maz's name at all to him, maybe things would have changed because he has some kind of allegiance to Maz and doing something for her. Otherwise, he's out for himself.
I didn't understand. So, like, the dude that we were meant to think had the lapel, like, what?
Yeah, that was confusing.
They may explain it in the next one when Maz comes.
I think it was supposed to be kind of like a throw off.
I did not. Yeah, that one was so.
But what's the point? It's just, this is my point. Wasted time.
That was. I kind of agree with you. It was kind of just like.
I mean, I think that's probably the only thing I agree with you on. This scene,
because
I think
have
it was
Maz give them a name of a person. Maz just doesn't give you names of people she doesn't trust, right?
Dude,
and then it turns out to be a douche.
Dude, it's 5 seconds away. It's 5 seconds away from Snoke's backstory, okay, or whatever. It's just wasted.
Now,
it's wasted.
They didn't want to give you Snoke's backstory.
I just want to say this about Maz.
Not Snoke. Whatever you want. It's just wasted time.
I don't. This part I agree with, but I don't think Snoke's backstory is.
It's whatever. It's whatever you want.
The next time you watch the movie, look at Maz's back. She's wearing the Rocketeer pack.
Yeah, with her floating camera. That was awesome.
I want to know what the fuck Maz was up to. She was kicking some ass. I'm like,
she was.
Yeah, she was.
It was a union.
Wearing the Rocketeer pack.
She was going in shit on something.
Next time you watch the movie, pause it.
Shit, this dude. I was
so
like,
this is the whole issue. This is the whole issue. I'm sure Disney will exploit it as another opportunity to make a comic book series about it.
Well, no shit.
I would
comics are awesome.
I don't really.
Yeah, I know. I read all the comics. I love it.
They're awesome. Why not make?
I'm sure you'll see it in the next 6 months.
I agree with you.
Cool.
The whole thing, but I agree with Jodo on this. The arc on that one kind of was
bizarre.
It was
wasted,
bizarre.
dumb.
It was a little weird.
It was everything related to Finn, right? Most of the plot related to Finn was just not developed well. It was just all an errand that he was running for Poe in order to try and bring down the shield.
Damn story as he did the
last it wasn't even an errand for Poe though. He wanted to go.
Yeah,
they were convincing
Well, he wanted
Poe,
to save Rey.
This is my idea.
Don't try to make him a bitch boy. Come on.
Yeah, he wasn't a bitch boy there, man. I mean, he wanted to do something, right, and not stay on the.
He volunteered
he was to like run away.
Well, his whole thing is he doesn't want Rey to go to the ship. That's his whole thing. His motivation the whole movie. Because he knows the ship is under attack and it's going to get blown up, so he doesn't want her to go there. So he takes the beacon and he starts doing whatever the hell he's doing, right? So,
I do feel it was lost.
So I'm just going to go back to this is just I'm going off top of my head, guys. But so after the scene, we kind of talked about Chewie and Rey, and they're trying to convince Luke, right? And then Luke does the little mountain shit and gets the green milk and all that. And then one scene we didn't talk about yet was when Rey was following Luke, and then she gets the whispers, right? And then she turns around and goes toward the tree, right? The
Tree of the Force,
where the books are.
Yeah.
So
the Force were those the Wills of the Force? Not books. This is what I interpreted them to be as. Is the original journals?
Well, they just called them
the
original Jedi. Yeah, they just
Journals
called them
of the
the
Will.
original
I think they were.
Jedi.
Yeah, they didn't really
books,
name them,
right?
I just love how Yoda said page turners. They were not.
That was pretty funny.
Well, he called him out. He goes, "You didn't fucking read them," and then he was like, "Well, I did," and he's like, "No, you didn't." So
yeah,
he was fucking posing too.
Yeah, I love.
But on that scene, so the one thing that intrigued me was she goes, "I've seen this before," and then he goes, "Who are you?" Right? Like he's just like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like, and you've been here. You know this? Like, who the fuck are you? Right?
I like her. I love. She's like, cool. No one. Well, somebody. No one's got to be from somewhere. I'm from Jakku. All right, really nowhere. I was like, that's so great.
Oh yeah, that is nowhere.
But I think that Rey's coming to terms that, and I love that they did this. Rey is not from. People don't understand this about the Force. The Force doesn't give a shit about your lineage. If you're strong with the Force, you're strong with the Force. Yeah. It doesn't matter if your parents were like Rey's parents, drug addicts that just sold her off for a drink, or they're the Skywalker lineage, right? The Force, if you look back through all the canon and all the stories, I mean, kids were being born that were strong with the Force. poor people, rich people, it didn't matter. The Force does what the Force does. You know, she was chosen by the Force to balance what Kylo had become in the Force. You know, and I thought that was brilliant that she doesn't come from a Skywalker or a Solo or anything like that.
Wait.
Yeah.
I think that's still up for debate, though.
I don't have any argument from this.
They don't show her, and she doesn't know that she's a Skywalker lineage. I think she's a Skywalker lineage.
Yeah.
I
think either he was lying to her. He was either lying to her, or he was reading her fear of what her parents were.
That's a good point.
Well, so was she really? So
when she went to, like, she accepted that was truth. She was hiding. She didn't want to accept it, you know, because remember, Maz
this
said,
is going to be a little bit of a theory here. But when she went underground to the tree and to the dark area, I know this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, Loki, but so she went underground, and then she was kind of in that room of semi-mirror type things where she just saw her reflections, went down to the end, and she asked who her parents were. And when she was looking, there was a silhouette. That silhouette looked exactly like Luke from the original trilogy. And it actually looks like the outline of CLS in the game, actually. So my first thought was that was going to be she's going to be a Skywalker lineage. Kind of ties a little bit into the fact that she has a connection with Kylo. Kind of the same way that in the original trilogy, Luke and Leia could always kind of feel each other, even though like one was like, they would always know like he's not dead. I can feel his presence, that kind of stuff.
You make a great point, Finn. Because in the canon, Han and Leia did have twins, Jason and Jaina Solo. I wonder if they're running that arc.
Well, in the Legends, right?
In the Legends canon, and Jaina was the one that became the Sword of the Jedi, and unfortunately, Jason, because of what he went through in his life, became Darth Caedus, right, in the books and stuff, and they actually had to end up fighting each other to the death. You know, they could.
I don't think they're trying to repeat anything in that, though.
They've said that they aren't, but I think they may be trying to take aspects of those stories and doing that. Maybe. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do with episode 9. I'm just throwing a theory out there from what Finn.
I'll throw something out there, Finn, because actually, I still believe that she came from nothing. I really believe that.
I do too.
But to add to your theory, she might be, because when Luke went to the dark side on Dagobah, he fought a Darth Vader, right? And then when he cut the head off and the mask revealed itself, he was looking at himself. So it's kind of along those same lines. Rey goes, "Who are my parents?" And then when she sees the reflection, it's herself, right? So it's kind of the same feel that Empire had when Luke was on Dagobah. So I wouldn't put it past it.
But there's also, so if you look at, and so I'm trying to see, because I think usually they try to tie a lot of these things in together, like even just the past histories of, if they're like linked in lineage, there's kind of some sort of connection, right? So what I was thinking was, if Luke, and this is the child, if Rey is the child of Luke and Mara Jade, which is maybe why she's drawn a little bit more to the dark side from kind of maybe the Mara Jade aspect of it.
Could
I mean, she still might be a kid of Luke or Han Solo and Leia, because remember all the connections that she had with Han Solo, like completing his sentences and talking about the Millennium Falcon.
Remember what old Ben said in Return of the Jedi?
I think she's a Skywalker, but on the Leia side.
Truth.
Oh, see, I'm thinking she's going to be on the Luke side.
Truths, or you know what Ben says to Luke in Return of the Jedi about, you know, truths or what we make of it, kind of thing. You know, from a certain point of view. Oh my God!
Right.
But like, if she was like Mara Jade's kid, and Luke didn't know that Mara Jade had like another child or whatever, and gave her up similar to how Luke was given away to Uncle Ben and Aunt Beru, then maybe they just weren't good people and they sold her. Yeah, Uncle Owen. So sorry, what did I say, Uncle Ben?
I'm thinking about rice, man.
Yeah, I'm talking about rice. No, Uncle Owen.
No, but here's the big theory, right? Is what if they split them? So basically Leia kept her a secret from Luke, so she didn't want Luke to know about it, right?
Could be. She is younger.
Because remember when little Rey and she was looking like at the spaceship? I mean, dude, that was a big fucking like rebel, like Corellian ship, right? That wasn't like a transport. That's was true. Departing from. That thing had a bunch of boosters on it, and it looked like that. It looked like that resistance ship that was being tailed, right? The whole time in Last Jedi. So it looked like a big freighter ship, not a little single engine little transport, right? So that still could be a theory, though. I mean, that could be a thing in Episode 9.
Yeah, I mean, that's just. I think she's a Skywalker either from either side, and then somehow.
I hope they don't. I really like the fact that they made her just nobody. You know, that she's like any other Jedi that's ever existed in the. I mean, people get so transfixed on the Skywalker lineage, but it's one
not line. That she needs to be, but I don't see any other reason for the connection between her and Kylo.
That's the thing. Why
I think the connection deals with the fact that the Force creates two.
Well, they can
aspects.
all feel each other. I mean,
Yoda was the way they were talking, and the fact that he felt the water from the splash, and he had it on his face. I mean, that's
the
like
yin and the yang.
Power.
You know, there's a connection there. Even though one side's dark and one side's light, there is a connection there that transcends anything else. You know, that these two people, not by choice, but because of what the Force wants, made them into the people that they are now, right? Kylo, because he's still struggling with the light, and Rey still has struggling with certain aspects of the dark, right? But they represent two of the main aspects, dark and light, and I think that's what the connection is. Not that they're necessarily family, but because they are those two sides of the coin, and there's always going to be that connection there, no matter whether they're family or not, because that's the way the Force works. My thoughts.
Yeah, this will probably be a big part of Episode 9 too.
So let's look at it like so. Let's give our final thoughts. We've covered so many things about this movie, and I appreciate Jodo coming in here and speaking his mind. He didn't like the movie, and that's okay. That's totally legit, man. I totally understand it, and it's cool. I disagree with it, and that's okay. Yeah, it's okay. You know, we're not. I mean, it's cool. So
you ready for the next scene, or what are we doing?
Well, yeah, let's go to the next scene. I mean, we can try to cover this real quick and then give our overall thoughts of the movie.
Yeah. Okay. So next scene is the bridge scene, and I think this is the attack on the Resistance ship. So, what are your thoughts on that? I think that's the one where Leia shows her Force powers and does her thing in space.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes into the coma, and then the other gal introduces the new
Laura Dern's character. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but
Holdo.
Yeah. And then she announces to the crew that Leia was the only survivor of the bridge. So Akbar died. A few other rebel captains died, or Resistance captains died. So
I thought it was a good. I liked the Poe arc because it showed Poe had a lot to learn, and I think Laura Dern was there to say, "Listen, young man, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. There's a bigger picture, and you're not seeing it. You're just reacting to the now. When then you have to, it's like chess. You have to think 5 steps ahead." And Shay is. What? No, don't be playing stuff like that, Shay. God damn it! No, Shay, no, you're gonna get us demonetized. What the hell?
That's not Shay, dude. That's Drunkomotive's back, dude.
Yeah, Drunkomotive's there. Shay disappeared.
And Smithy's chair is squeaking.
That's me. That's the artist formerly known as Shay.
I keep telling you to put some WD-40 on that.
Well, I don't know. But
WD.
But yeah, I think that so we've kind of covered everything. I think we've covered, just from our conversations, pretty much the other aspects of the movie. Let's get to the final battle of Crate. I think this is a big one, right?
You missed the bit.
Well,
there's the most important scene.
You missed the Snoke scene.
Yeah,
you missed Chewie trying to eat the Fork.
Well, no, we don't care about that.
That was like the greatest scene in the whole movie.
If he'd eaten the pork, would you have been upset, Finn?
I was almost in tears, and then the little sad eyes by the pork as they were looking, like that, it made me sad.
Let's talk about the throne scene with Rey appearing. Right, she goes, into the throne with Snoke and Kylo. So what do we think about this scene?
Yeah, that one.
By far my favorite scene.
It was badass.
It was so awesome. Not only the Snoke death, which I thought was really cool the way they did that.
Oh, they just did it so perfectly where he's like,
it really was.
I didn't see that coming.
Obviously too powerful to defeat. And
yeah, like, he was so cocky and arrogant that he's like, he thought he knew Kylo so well, and Kylo, I think at that time just realized, like, you know what, I've had enough of this bitch. You know, I'm gonna play him. And you kind of see Kylo like, oh, so you're a chess player too, okay. And I mean, that is even at the end when you see Snoke on the ground with his tongue sticking, I was like, yeah, man, got a little too cocky for your ass, and it bit you in the ass, man.
And then when them two fighting together against the Praetorian Guards, it gave me chills. It was
so good.
The ultimate objective of a Sith is to kill his master.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not Sith.
Yeah, they never said they were Sith.
Yeah, well, dark side, whatever.
I just found it unexpected because they hadn't built up Snoke at all at that point. I figured at some point Kylo was going to kill him. I just wasn't expecting it then because they had really done nothing with Snoke.
You thought they would have done this in episode 9.
I was thinking episode 9 for it.
They threw me for a curveball because I didn't see this coming at all, and I was just like, "Oh shit!" And then when Rey and Kylo started fighting together against the Praetorian Guard, I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Yeah, when I first saw that, I was like, "Oh, he's a good guy now."
It was and then he goes into that that dark side mode where it's like I can rule the galaxy.
No, he isn't a good guy.
We can make it better. It's kind of like shades of Anakin and Padme, where he's like, we can make the galaxy the way we want it. Join me. That kind of thing.
I'll draw a different analogy, Ranger, and maybe you'll appreciate it. It's basically Pain from Naruto.
Oh,
that is Kylo at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Kylo at this point is Pain, just trying to ally with evil, but he's trying to make peace, but he's doing it through like the evil channels.
Right. He doesn't think what he's doing is wrong. He thinks what he's doing is right, and that peace achieved through whatever means necessary is justified. I agree with you 1,000%. Those who have not seen Naruto, oh my god, the Pain battle, oh god, so epic. Just ridiculous.
I was pretty upset when they killed Snoke, and I had been upset with it for a bit, but then I started to think about it a little bit more than just to be upset about it. And I don't know. It's we may end up learning more about him, which I hope we do, because I mean, when you get down to it, what did we really know from 4, 5, and 6 about the Emperor? What did we really know about him?
I am the Senate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you only really knew about him in 1, 2.
That's a good,
right?
very good point. Everybody needs to wait to really learn. Maybe Snoke will develop later.
After my first watch, I was extremely upset with a lot of the movie. Now, there's still some plot holes that I think that they should have not done. Like for instance, what I was trying to bring up before about I know this goes back to the beginning of the movie, but the Dreadnought, they didn't need any shields or anything to get in that close to destroy shit, which I get that, like on Death Star, they didn't, they were able to do that and stuff. But then the code breaker, Benicio del Toro, he had to freaking break their shield code to get through their shield, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, that right there, I'm like, that sort of contradicts itself a little bit.
I think they're gonna cover more about Snoke and his background, and they'll bring up how he.
Well, no, they had to take down the tractor beam. That's what it was. It was the tracking system, not the shield.
Yeah,
I thought he sort of cloaked himself before that.
No. He went there to take the tracking device off of the resistance ship.
Everybody's talking about Naruto. Listen, Pain was great, but the best villain ever in Naruto was Madara. Sorry, Uchiha Madara. Oh my god! If you're not seeing what that dude does to a whole army of shinobi, then sweet Jesus and the Hokage. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Oh, sorry, I got off a tangent there. I think they're going to cover more about Snoke and Kylo's connection with him, where he came from. They'll put that in there in 9. I think the Knights of Ren will be part of that back storyline, because he corrupted not only Kylo Ren, from what I gather, he corrupted the other students of Luke Skywalker, and those ones that were left over were the ones that I think Kylo had been working on. I think that that whole story will probably come out in 9. I don't think this is going to come out in a book and stuff. I think this is going to be part of the story in 9.
I hope so.
Yeah, it has to, because if they don't, I mean, you can't have a character like Snoke and not at least to give some snippet of what he is and who he is and stuff, you know.
So let me ask the panel something. Do you guys really think DJ is still alive, or did he get blown up when the
he's alive.
He's still alive.
Yeah,
he's alive.
He's going to come back into play with Maz.
I think Maz going to come in there and just slap him in the face, like kick his ass. I would love to see her use the Force and start throwing him around like, "Did you betray my Wookiee?"
Yeah, my Wookiee. She loves that Wookiee.
Where's my Wookiee?
On that note, on that, whenever you talked about the Bendu earlier, well, that makes me think that he's a Force ghost. I know it's not in the movie, but with how they did with Yoda, with the lightning and everything, I'm sort of starting to think that maybe the Bendu's just a Force ghost.
We don't really know what the Bendu is. He is a force of nature. He is an aspect of the Force. He is light and dark, right? But we don't know if he's an actual. I mean, he seems substantive because you see him interact with the world, like Obi-Wan and Yoda could. But then he does stuff like you mentioned in the series with the Rebels. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm really fascinated to see, because my theory is that because Carrie Fisher died, I think Han was going to die in 7, Luke was going to die in 8, and I think Leia was going to be the last one that died in 9. But that has gone completely out the door, unfortunately, with Carrie Fisher's passing. And I think Luke is going to have a more prominent role in 9 as well, being that mentor and trainer. And I think they're going to bring other Force ghosts. I would love to see this, like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan pop in, or Anakin pop in, you know, not only for Rey, but, you know, tormenting Kylo. Like, you know, I would love to see Anakin pop in as a Force ghost in front of Kylo, like, bitch, you think you're evil? I killed younglings, motherfucker.
Yeah. Do you think that they only invited Christian Henson to the scene, or, you know, to the set to make us think that we were going to see him as a Force ghost?
I think they've done something with him, and they're keeping it very on the down low. That's going to be in the next movie, because I think they're going to do something with him, either with Rey going, you know, as she journeys through the Force. And I think the same thing with Kylo, because even Luke, which we haven't got to the crate scene where he says, "I'll see you around, kid." I think he's going to be there to be a thorn in Kylo's side, because the light is still pulling at him, and he still thinks that Darth Vader was the greatest thing since sliced cake, and he's going to pop in and be like, "Bitch, let me tell you about the dark side, dum-dum.
Younglings and stuff. It's bad."
Master Skywalker, what are we going to do? There's too many Force ghosts. But let's talk about the final battle, because I want to kind of wrap this up. We've been at it for about an hour and a half. What did everybody think of the final battle and the overall? You know, we've got the battle on Crate. You know, I thought the battle itself was phenomenal. I loved everything of it. And then the final battle between Luke and Kylo Ren. We had a Porg thing. I thought it was funny, the Porgs getting thrown around the ship with Chewbacca. It cracked me up. I loved it. I was dying. I was like,
I love that Rey came in as kind of like a savior there to help, you know, distract them. I thought that was really cool.
She was tearing people up with those guns, man.
She was.
Damn.
You know what other thing I liked was when Kylo was like, fire, everything fire at him. And he's like, "I think that's enough, sir."
Yeah.
I remember what he said. But it was just hilarious. And then Luke's just standing there like, "Yeah, is that all you got?"
I know. I mean, people
I did not see the whole Force. I don't even know what he is.
I didn't pick up on it until the lightsaber came out. I'm like, wait a minute, why is he using the blue lightsaber?
Yeah, he's using the Graflex. It's not right.
I was like, wait, but what's going
on
here? But
there was a lot of tells, right? I mean, it was like the red sand. So when Luke moved,
nothing was happening.
There was no red. There was no trail, right?
That's what it is. I'm like, why is this focus on the red sand for?
Yeah,
that's for him.
I missed that. I completely missed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and the blue lightsaber versus green.
Yeah, that when I was like, wait a minute. Something, but I did pick up on it right away, because he did interact with Leia and kiss her on the forehead and stuff. I'm like, Well, he's there.
Well, as soon as I saw him, I was like, damn, he trimmed up nice.
I know. I was like, oh, he cleaned up. Oh, good job, Hermit Luke. You're getting ready for battle. All right, let's do this. And the blue lightsaber was like, wait, what? And then certain things were just not sitting right. And I had to think about it for a while. And then I actually saw something online. I was like, God damn it, I missed it. And, you know, so we back watched the same time. Like, God damn it, the cues were there the whole time and I missed it. Son of a bitch.
Yep.
But I thought, I mean, if you don't realize how powerful Luke was, to realize across the fucking galaxy, he presented himself in a real form. It's just outrageous.
Do you think that's what killed him? The energy involved taking, like, how much energy it took to do that is what killed him. Like, that was his last hurrah kind of thing.
It was Hans Dice, totally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think that's Hans Dice, man.
No, that's in there from Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, they're in there. You got to watch the movie. You'll see them in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was thinking those were like Lando's dice.
Well, they could have been.
They were in the ship during Empire, so you saw the dice and stuff. I don't remember. I don't think they were in Episode 4, but they were there for.
Because Lando was the gambler, right? That was the thing.
Smooth old liquor. But I thought the way they tied everything in together, you get that aspect of it. You saw Luke's sacrifice, which I thought was phenomenal, and his death scene with him fading into the forest with the dual suns. Like, you remember when we first get his introduction to his character with the dual suns on Tatooine. I thought it was beautiful.
It was so pretty.
Yeah, I could not think of a better way. If you're gonna end Luke, that was like
a redeeming moment. That redeeming.
Oh, God, so
savior
good.
Again.
And then also,
you know what actually struck me real quick was the I think when he was having the conversation with Kylo and he said, you know, the rebellion is born again today. They're rebuilding right now.
Yep.
And, you know, like...
The war starts now.
Yeah, the war starts now, all that stuff, right? So it's like they didn't even refer to the survivors as resistance anymore. They went back to the old rebellion tag, right? It's almost like the resistance is also dead in this movie, and then they're going to bring back the whole rebellion.
You missed your shot. Here comes the new Jedi. Here comes the new rebellion. You fucked up. And I gave them the shot they need, you know, because you know that they've got all those forces in the Outer Rim. It's going to be, I think 9's just going to be full blown war. I think it's going to be an epic war movie, and you're going to see.
I think it's going to give maybe the viewer like Jodo the action or the full blown war that maybe they're building up to now.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like what Leia said at the end, right? She's like, we got everything we need here, and they're basically. Right at the very beginning, right? You know, like at the beginning of New Hope, they take off in the freaking Millennium Falcon, and there's only like 5 of them. You know, now they got a whole they got like maybe 20 people in that Millennium Falcon now, and it's pretty much the same. Like, okay, this is the start again, right? That, you know, after we lost our ship, we lost our transports, we lost our base.
But that's okay.
And maybe it's not going to be called Resistance anymore. They're going to go back to the old Rebel tag, you know.
Or maybe they call themselves the New Republic. You know, they can call themselves whatever they want. You know, but people forget in the books, even after the Battle of Endor, before they made new canon, it took them a lot of books to get rid of the Empire. I mean, Coruscant, and there were some major battles that they had to go through to eventually lead to the peace treaty with the Empire owning a part of the galaxy. The remnants before they could actually win, because and they kind of touched on this. They try to go back to a little bit on Battlefront 2. They kind of if you haven't seen the storyline in Battlefront 2, they touch on it, the remnants of the Empire, and then how the New Order the First Order gets formed. But they went a different route. But you can see that the rebellion. This is the start of really this. Force Awakens was the introduction. 2 was the set off point. Like, all right, this was the prelogue. This is the story. Now this is the final part. You know,
who's in the Outer Rim?
Well, they had mentioned that they had forces all along the Outer Rim. You know, movements and ships, and I guess they have other forces out there. You know, that are just waiting to consolidate. that they'll get a hand of, and we'll start seeing them start consolidating their forces and making a push back. And it always happens this way. And if you read any of the Star Wars canon, the bad guys always come in surprisingly because the good guys are not paying attention. They kind of drop the ball and they get their ass kicked for a majority, and then all of a sudden the good guys get their shit together and they start pushing back. And I think that's what's going to happen with Episode 9. It's like, okay, you've been kicking our ass, you've taken over most of the galaxy, now it's our turn. So I think that's what's going to kind of happen with Episode 9. But I love the way they ended the movie. You got to see Rey come into her own.
Oh, with those lifting rocks.
You see Leia passing the baton over to Poe. She's like, what are you looking at me for? Follow him.
Yep.
And you see even Finn coming into his own. Like, he knows where his role is. He knows who he is now. I mean, I don't like the part of how he got there. Kind of didn't work for me, but at the end, it did make sense. And you're going to see those three become the leaders of this new republic, or whatever you wanted on.
Yeah, Poe would probably end up being the leader.
Okay. Yeah, but there was a part of me though, man. I wish Poe fucking blew up that gun, dude. Honestly,
I did too.
I wish he went in there and they killed off his character. It's kind of like what Finn said earlier in the stream. It's like his development was kind of awkward and it wasn't going anywhere. So it's, you know what? He blew up the fucking gun, right?
Yeah, I was like, yes.
I would have been totally fine with it, and then they save him, right? And I was like, oh, okay, so we're stuck with him again. So,
were you gonna say something there, Tits?
No, I was just gonna say I feel the same way. I felt guilty thinking that, like after.
Oh no.
I felt bad.
Daniel Rose brings up a great question.
Just put a Zeta on him and you'll love him.
God, Jay.
Well, I felt bad. He was my first Zeta. I wanted to die, but it would have been cool to
So here's a question for you guys that Daniel Rose brought up. It says, is 3 movies going to be enough for this trilogy? They might leave it open to where the rebellion comes back. We get some stories taken care of, but we leave a lot of stories open for the next round of trilogy movies.
Well, they already confirmed there's another round, right? So
yeah, but the Ryan Johnson said he's going a different direction and totally the different part of the galaxy and stuff like that. And then we've got the TV series, which I know is not going to tie into this. I think that's going to be the Old Republic storyline. Whether it's on Netflix or ABC or whatever they do with it.
You wish.
I think that's what they're going to do. I think the movies will be a big part. So too. But we have been confirmed that we got the Han Solo movie coming up. We've got Episode 9. I think the Obi-Wan movie's been confirmed. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I think Kenobi has been confirmed.
Yeah. So
really?
Yeah, I think Kenobi was confirmed.
Yeah, bringing old Ewan McGregor back for that, and I love that because I would love to see what old Ben went through.
That's cool.
Yeah, but I think they're going to go a different direction.
He's my fucking favorite. Dude.
Yeah, and I think
Obi-Wan is the shit.
And I think what could happen is Episode 9 may not be the end. It could tie up some story arcs, but I think it's going to lead to the next 3 movies where you see maybe these characters now older, and then the next generation coming in, right? Of Jedi and Sith and light side and dark side, and continue.
All I know is they need to fucking bring Lando back in Episode 9. He's one of the fucking guys in the Outer Rim, man.
He's got to go through a workout to get back in it.
Cool thing about an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, they ain't gonna kill him off.
Well, hello there.
That fool's alive, man. He's alive, and he's probably telling his story that he blew up the Death Star too. So,
I'm sure.
Wait, who? I missed it. Who are you talking about?
Lando.
He's
still alive, man.
You know what? I would love to see 2 characters they bring back to help the rebellion. Lando.
I would love to see Lando just swaggering in.
And Wedge Antilles as a General Wedge Antilles, because in the books, General Antilles was a mastermind because he'd been in so many battles. He was feared by anybody that faced him in battle because he knew when it came to combat in space, there was nobody better than General. But unfortunately, the actor, although he started to come around, he was at the last celebration. So I have hope that because he hated them, he's trashed on the movies, but I'm hoping, because that's Ewan McGregor's uncle, and I'm hoping that, and I can't think of the actor's name, but I would love to see them bring him in for 9 as a general. It's like, all right, kids, I blew up 2 Death Stars. Yeah. Let me tell you how it's done. So I think that would be really cool if someone that they could bring in. I hope they can do it. I would think it would be cool. All right, so last thoughts of the movie. Anything like?
What about little Anakin at the end, man?
Ooh,
the little kid.
I had
with
chills
broom.
and I had tears in my eyes when I saw that broom and him staring
The
up at
rebel
the sky. It
symbol and
was
stuff.
so good. I love that scene.
So who do you
I
think
thought
that
it
kid
was
is?
Marvel movie.
He's a no one, just like Rey.
Yeah,
Although you
it
think
was-
Rey could be Skywalker, but
Exactly. I think it was them giving hope that the Jedi is not dead, that Rey is not the last one, and that there's like Luke was reborn as that legend to inspire people to fight back again and to keep going. I just loved it.
well, we already know from the first one from episode 1, we already know that there are tons of Force sensitive people out there.
Yes,
right.
Even in the canon, there was people that used the Force that were not Jedi or Sith. The Night Sisters were one. There were other
right. I mean, look at Leia.
Clone
right?
Wars.
Leia was Force sensitive, and she didn't. She didn't choose an affiliation. So
now, I'm not 100% happy with Rey lifting all those rocks. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, that was a feat for fucking Luke. Okay, like it was a feat for him.
No, wait.
And
Luke
she just throws all these rocks. Wherever I'll pick all these rocks up and throw them wherever.
But even in the last movie, Rey solidified the fact that she's.
I think she's the light side of the Force, the aspect of the Force brought to bear, and I think she's still learning. But I think in that situation where her friend's in a dire situation and she's got to save them, I mean, when you're in that kind of situation, you're able to do things you normally wouldn't be able to do. That's kind of how I look at that. Yeah. So, all right. Anything else, guys? We're gonna wrap this up. Anything else we want to throw in there?
Ewan McGregor should sing some old Jedi folk.
Oh, Lord.
Ooh.
Okay.
Hold on. There's one theory that's in the chat that's funny to me. I want Finn to be Lando's abducted son. Their stormtrooper program raised children that never knew their families. It would be a cool tie-in to bring Lando back.
Well, I was drinking some cold malt liquor and it was a passionate night.
I would say I love the whole changing the direction of Star Wars and bringing in new material and new stuff. But if Lando doesn't have a cape, I will be upset.
Oh yeah, he's got to have the pimp
Lando
cape.
without a cape.
Well, he's going to have a lot of robes on to cover it all up.
Yeah.
So he'll be good.
Oh,
he'll be good.
He's in his 80s now. You got to give Billy D. Williams a little slack here. So
I wanted
give him a cape. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
so I wanted to mention. What's your guys' thoughts on Kylo's direction? Like he mentioned, he goes. He even said it. He goes, "Let the fucking Jedi die. Let the Sith die. Let's just fucking move forward. Forget the fucking past.
Let the past die. Kill it."
Yeah, fuck it. Forget it. Forget the Sith. Forget the Jedi. So, do you think he's just going to be the one and only? He obviously doesn't want anybody to co-rule with him, right? I think that whole thing was a bait for Rey to come over to him, so eventually he would kill her, and then she obviously didn't. But do you think he's going to try to rule the galaxy by himself?
I think so.
As a supreme leader now.
I think so.
Or is he going to search for his apprentices and stuff like that?
I don't know.
So you're saying the rule of two is gone in his mind, basically, is what you're saying?
Well, he doesn't like the Sith.
The rule of one.
He goes. He said, "Forget the Sith. Forget the past. Let's move forward. Forget the Jedi." That was what he told Rey. So that's
it'd
huge.
be interesting to see which way they go. So
yeah, and then Rey is kind of like the opposite, right? She wants to live in the past, embrace the future, and then she's living off pure feeling, right? Whereas Kylo's just fucking go, forget everything. Makes you weak if you keep remembering the past and all that shit. And so I thought that was pretty interesting that he was just going to take the solo approach now, as opposed to the master and apprentice thing.
Yeah, I think that's the thing of the past. So I think
I'll show you the dark side.
I'm still holding out hope for Kylo.
My funniest moment in the movie, in my opinion, was whenever Kylo knocked Hux to the fucking side at the end there.
I was like, this is the Supreme Leader. Long live the Supreme Leader.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he called him the Supreme Leader, right? On his shuttle, right? Or the walker.
Yeah.
Do you think he got him?
I'm surprised no one mentioned where Hux looked like he was going to try and kill Kylo while he was
passed
out.
Gun and everything. Yep.
Hux is a sniveling little thing, but he's smart. I mean, he's made it this far being the character he is.
He's a little whiny bitch, dude.
He is such a whiny bitch, but
he's a little whiny. He's worse than Kylo, man. I mean, I thought Kylo was whiny, but at least that guy grew some balls in episode 8, man.
Yeah. How did Hux get to be a general?
Because he's
daddy
conniving, and he's opportunistic, and that's all there is to it.
That shows it right there for sure.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna end the stream, guys. I appreciate y'all being here. It's late. I'm tired. I got a lot of shit to do tomorrow.
Thanks
so everybody else. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Leave your comments on below. Whether you like the movie or not, just keep it civil. I'm not going to tolerate anybody calling names or saying you're stupid or anything like that. That's just I'm just not going to put up with it. Sorry. But if you have whether you like the movie or not, just give us your thoughts. It'd be interesting to see what people thought of the movie. We liked it. That we had some problems with it. Obviously, you heard that in our thing. You saw our rankings for the movie. So give us our thoughts. There's no right or wrong answer. It's a movie, for Christ's sake. It's Star Wars. We love it, but we all things we like, things we don't like, things we want, maybe things we think we want and don't need. So it's just the way it works. So thanks for everybody staying up late. Thanks for Tits staying here with Loki and even Finn with all his packing. Thanks for Drunkomotive and Pookie coming down here.
Drunkomotive.
You gave him the name, man. I didn't put him with that name. You did.
We love you, Shay.
We do. We love Shay a lot.
You're always welcome.
I'm not even drunk tonight.
Oh. You could have fooled me. Feels like somebody's been not drinking Budweiser. All right, so everybody, thank you for being in the chat. Appreciate all your feedback and everything. So thank you so much. We love you guys, and be safe. And you'll know the next day or two if we're going to do a Saturday stream. It's kind of 50-50 at this point, but we'll see what happens. So I'll keep you guys posted. So everybody be safe, and we'll holler at you later.